The land now occupied by Cheesman Park was given to the city of Denver in 1858 by an act of the U.S. Congress for use as a cemetery. It came to be called Mount Prospect Cemetery. By 1898, the cemetery was falling to disuse and was not being taken care of. Real estate developers felt that a park would attract more buyers than an unused cemetery. The United States Congress was persuaded to allow the cemetery to be converted into a park. In recognition, Denver named it Congress Park. Families were asked to remove the remains of their departed to other cemeteries. For those unclaimed, a contract was given to a local undertaker. He was paid $1.90 for each box he delivered to Riverside Cemetery. In the enterprising spirit of early Denver, he often found it necessary to use up to 3 boxes for each grave. The Denver government became upset at this practice, resulting in his contract being terminated. Although the work was not complete, the contract was never replaced, which means there are people still buried in the park. The switch from Congress Park to Cheesman Park occurred after a sizable pavilion donation from Mrs. Walter S. Cheesman in memory of her husband. The donation was conditional that the name be changed from Congress Park to Cheesman Park. Due to the extremely unusual circumstances of Cheesman Park, many believe that the spirits of the people buried in the park are restless. I have decided to spend some time at the park to see if I can find anything out of the ordinary or evidence of the cemetery that used to occupy the land. I spent 3 separate days at Cheesman Park. The first day, I carried a digital camera and took photos. On my second and third days, I used a video camera in hopes that I would capture something exciting on film. On my first day with the video camera, I headed for the playground. Upon reaching the playground, I noticed what I had seen on my trip with the digital camera, that the far left swing was swinging. There were no children, no people, and no wind. The swing continued in that manner for the entire day. A man named Jason told me in an interview later that day that he never cut through the playground while walking because of that swing. Sometimes it was swinging, and sometimes it was not. He felt that some things are good and some are bad, just like people. And the playground was bad because the people who put it there had bad souls due to their lack of respect for the people buried there. Nothing else was moving, except for that swing. On the same day, while walking away from the playground, I noticed 3 spots on the ground. The grass was dead and slightly lower than the rest of the ground. I wasn't sure what it meant, but they were rectangular in shape and equal distance apart from one another. Could this be a formal burial plot? Or was it just the grass playing tricks on me? Another day with the swing, with no children around and no wind to blow the swing. I set my camera stationary for the 3rd day to see if it made any difference in the footage of the swing. I came back several hours after my first recording and found the same swing swinging, with the seat slightly lowered as if someone were sitting in it. to this area of the park after interviewing an older man named Robert. Robert told me that he had seen this area become flooded in specific places after a heavy rain, areas that looked long and thin. Because the day was clear and there was no rain or snow to study on the ground, I tried to film as best I could where the ground seemed uniformly uneven. Robert did not wish to accompany me, as he felt that the southern part of the park was unsafe. He preferred the area away from the ground indentations and away from the swing set. There were a few other areas around the park on the outer edges near the houses that looked similar to this area. I happened to speak to a woman who was walking one of the many trails in the park, who happened to live in one of the houses near the park, and she told me that when she and her husband had done some work on their yard several years back, they found some partial bones and other artifacts in the area of the yard closest to the park. I have decided to leave the park alone for the time being. The only evidence I found of possible restless spirits is the lone swing in the playground. Uniformly uneven ground indentations suggest the remnants of a cemetery buried for years under the Cheesman Park of today.